We're going to talk here with Larry Magid in just a moment. He's on the road. He's going to pull over to talk to us safely. I was reading his article in the Mercury News. Larry Magid is a technology journalist, a columnist, a commentator. You can find his 2 bits worth frequently at larrysworld.com and connectsafely.com, and highly respected here in the Drive Time News. And he writes about it, how bad it is when someone's phone rings during a meeting or at a theater. And in fact, Bob Harris, the late Bob Harris, with whom we worked for so long here, he and I went to see a movie at the Fargo Theater, and I had not shut my phone off, and he never asked me to go to a movie with him again, ever. But he still loved me. And Larry Magid, welcome back to the Mighty 790.
It's a pleasure. I'm on the somewhat not so mighty Highway 101 between San Francisco and Los Angeles, stuck in a traffic jam. So,
in this article, you talk about fights breaking out in theaters because somebody had a YouTube video going, or people being disturbed on airplanes, and one of the things you talk about in this column, I love your headlines. One of them is the cell yell. What do you mean?
Well, I'm not going to name names, but someone very close to me seems to think that she needs to talk very loudly on a cell phone. And it's a common thing, but I'll be in the room with this person, again, not to be named. I might be in the next room, and she'll be talking on the phone much as if the person were a mile away from her. Well, the person could be 1,000 miles away from her, but cell phones actually have very good microphones, and you don't need to shout. And so that's one example, and that's really common. And I mentioned in the column, one day I was at the San Jose airport, and I heard a guy who I didn't know him particularly, but I knew which company he worked for, and he was talking confidential business information on his phone. I felt like saying, I'm a tech journalist. You just gave me a real juicy column. I didn't, and I didn't care. I didn't use it. Another example I mentioned in the column I was walking through the first class section of an airplane on the way to my coach seat, and there was an executive who I did recognize, very, very high-ranking executive in Silicon Valley, who was screaming at a subordinate on her phone. And, not a good look for somebody. And I will always remember that, and I still am aware of who that person is.
Another subject there, you were talking about social isolation, and you don't begrudge people using headphones, but sometimes people do need to speak to you or ask you to scoot over or something like that.
Yeah, I have this image of anthropologists a couple of 100 years from now looking, what were these white things people had in their ears back in the, in the 2000s and 220s or whatever they are, 2020s. And I remember, and this is years ago, when the iPhone was popular and everybody had the wired, white earbuds that the iPhone used to have. I'd be walking around New York City, which is a very friendly, despite what some of your listeners may think, New Yorkers are just very friendly people. You ask 3 people for directions, you'll get 4 different answers. But they're just really, people are very helpful. But they're isolated. They're walking around in these bubbles. And you just can't talk to them. Or another example that happens all the time, I'll be riding my bike on a bike path, and I'll want to pass somebody who's walking. Well, that's, you have a right to walk slowly. But I say passing on your left, and they can't hear me because they are ensconced in this bubble with their headphones. So, again, I don't begrudge them the right to do that. They have a right to listen to music, but
sure.
It kind of annoys me. I feel like, Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn when I tell these stories, but that's how I feel.
Tell us about a term that I had never heard of, but you refer to in your Mercury News column, phubbing, Phubbing.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. I hadn't heard of that either, and I somehow found it while I was working on the column. It has to do with when you're around somebody and you're paying attention. I think I get this right. You're paying attention to the phone or the person on the other end of the phone or something other than them. And who hasn't had that experience, right? You're at dinner and I know you're somebody in your family's on the phone. You're with somebody and they're not with you. They're with someone else. At least I hope I got the right word there. You've got the column in front of you, but
Yep.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
And I think, and we have about a minute and a half left here, but you talk about learning the basics. That sometimes you can get annoyed when the same question comes up over and over and over again.
Yeah. As somebody who's, knows more than the average bear about technology, I get a lot of questions from friends and family, and I don't mind. I mean, I'm really happy to help people out. I'm not that kind of person. But some people, they keep asking the same question over and over again, like, how do you copy and paste, or how do you restart your phone or something? And, at some point, you should learn that. It's not that hard. And, or maybe go on to Google and search for it. You'll find an article. I'm just suggesting that people don't be totally dependent on others for basics, and learn simple things. And as I joked in the column, if you don't know how to restart your phone, you might not even be able to call for help. So you better know the basics of, at least the simple stuff. And, and if you need tech support, call me. Not me personally, but call somebody.
Well,
somebody you know.
Okay, we've got to wrap up. We do have a tech show on KFGO. It's noon on Saturdays. It's called Tech Talk. And Brian Schott, who is an excellent host of that show, has a T-shirt, or used to have a T-shirt, a black T-shirt with white print that says, "I won't fix your computer."
Yeah, right.
Larry Magid, thank you very much. Enjoy your drive down Highway 101. We appreciate your time.
Take care. Thanks. Nice to talk to you.